Hi, in this video, I'm going to introduce you to the tools inside Figma, and I'm going to show you how to navigate Figma. Now, when you select the option of creating a new design, you are going to land on this page. The first thing you can do on this page is to give it a name. You want to give this design a name, and how you do that is you'll come over to this place that says Untitled, click on Untitled, and you give it a name. Learning Figma. So I just gave this file the name Learning Figma. Now on the left side here, you have the layer panel, and close to the layer panel, you have the asset panel. It's loading up some default assets that comes with Figma, like button, cards, forms. Another option you see is the page. Now page has a drop down. Under the drop down, you can see how many pages you have created. Currently we have just one page, and if I want to create another page, now you can see the option. You click on this plus icon to add a new page. So I'm going to click on that, and I will have page 2, and I can also give it a name, my page 2, or leave it as the default name, page 2, and click outside. And if you want to delete the page, you just right click and select delete page. The page will be gone. Now this is for the left panel, and on the right panel you have this option, design. Under design you have page, variables, styles, and export. As we go further in design, you will understand this panel more. The same thing for the prototype. Now prototype is usually used for interaction. When you want to apply interactions to your design, animations and things like that, you make use of this tab, prototype. Now on the top panel you have this Figma logo, which is for the main menu, and there's a drop down. You have options back to files, that's the library showing all of your designs you've worked on in the past. It takes you back to that page, and you're able to see all of your design, select design or duplicate design. Also you have files. Here you can create new design file, new jam file, and do a lot of things here. Under this option we have move tool and scale tool. Scene V over here is the shortcuts to activate this tool. The move tool, if you want to activate the move tool, all you need to do on your keyboard is to hit the letter V on your keyboard. The same thing for the scale tool, and I'm going to show you how to use these tools. The next is this option. Under this option we have frame, section, and slice, and I'm going to show you how to use frame and section. The next we have the shape tool. Under the shape tool we have rectangle, line, arrow, ellipse, polygon, star, and you can place image as well. Next we have the pen tool and the pencil tool, and next we have the test. This is the test tool. When you want to create a test, you use this tool. Here you have this tool, and under this tool you can see component, plugin, widgets. You can search for components, plugins, and widgets. Here we have the hand tool. With the hand tool you can move items around, and here we have the add comment tool. This is the comment tool, which gives you the ability to comment on designs. So you might be collaborating with somebody else. Now this gives you the option to make comment on that design. It might be your own design or someone else's design. So this gives you the ability to drop a comment. Now we know this, let's do some practical stuff. So the first thing we want to do is to create shape. So I'm going to select a rectangle and just drag. You see, just drag depending on the dimension that you want. But if you want a perfect rectangle, select the rectangle and hold down the shift button on your keyboard and drag, and then release. All sides will be equal. So we have just created a perfect square. And if we want to create a circle, you use the ellipse tool. Same thing, if you want a perfect circle, hold down the shift and drag. And if you want a circle that is not perfect, you just drag and adjust it to whatever size you want. Now, if you want to reduce the size of a shape you already have and keep all sides equal, you hold down the shift key and drag. This way, every side will remain the same. And now we're going to use the hand tool. By clicking the hand tool, you'll be able to move items around, especially when you zoom. So to zoom, you use Ctrl and the plus key on your keyboard to zoom in. And with the move tool, you can move things around. To zoom out, you use the Ctrl and the minus key on your keyboard. Zoom out. And when you're done with the hand tool, you come over to this move tool and click on move. Also, if you want to scale in Figma, moving from the side might also change the design, or from the top might change the size of the design. So I'm going to undo, and I'm going to use the scale tool. With the scale tool, you can move things and every side will remain the same. So that's the work of the scale tool. It enables you to scale an item bigger or smaller. It enables you to scale the item depending on what you want. If you want it to be big or you want the item to be small, use the scale tool. And now we'll go back to move. So whenever you're using a particular tool, if you want to exit that tool, you can use the move tool. Just click on the move tool and you will exit that tool. For instance, if I'm using this hand tool, you can see the hand icon is showing, but I want to exit this tool. What I'll do is to click on this drop down and select this move tool. So now it is like taking it back to the default state, and now I can select another tool inside Figma. Now let's talk about the right panel. I'm clicking on this square. I can do a lot of things here. So if I decide to make the width 170, you see the width increase. So now we have something like a rectangle. It's no longer a square because all sides are no longer equal. So I'm going to click on this. We have 170. Now I want it to be a square, so on the height we're going to use the value 170. So now we have all sides equal. a square now. And here this gives you the ability to rotate an item. For example, I'm going to put in 45 degree. So by clicking that, I have rotated the square, and now I have something like a diamond. Now I'm going to undo using Ctrl Z. So now we've learned about the width and height. We've also learned about using angle to rotate an item. Next thing I want to show you is how to make the corner of an item rounded. If you pay attention to this square, none of the edge is rounded. All edges are looking sharp and pointed. So if you want to give it a rounded corner, we use this option called corner radius and put in a number, let's say 10. Put in 10. Now you can see that the corners are rounded. I'm going to select on it. Another way you can adjust the number is to hover on it, and you're going to see that arrow. You move it. As you move it, it increases. When you move to the right, it increases, and when you move to the left, it decreases. Let's say I want to increase it to something like 15. And you can just stick with the option of typing in the value inside the box. So I'm going to put 20 and hit enter. So I have a corner radius of 20 around this shape. I'm going to click on the shape. The next thing I want to do is to change the color of this shape. So we have this color, but I want to change it to something like red by selecting on any area of this color option here, and just selecting an area. You can play around with the option here, just move things around and you get a different feel. Also, if you want to reduce the opacity, you make use of this option by dragging down, see, and we're going to drag up. So as you drag down, you pay attention, this value also reduces. See, we're reducing the opacity, right? We're reducing the color, and if you drag up, we're taking it back to the default color. And here we have different options for the color standard you want to use, and this is called a color code. So if we decide to change this number and put maybe something to say the color changes, FFF, the color changes. So for every color you work with, that color has a color code. This value, which is a mix of number and letter. Now the next thing is how to use the stroke. So we're going to click on this plus sign to add a stroke. What it means to add a stroke to an item is that you're adding a border to that item, and you can determine how thick you want the border to be. So if I change the value to 5, it's thicker, and if I change it back to 1, it reduces. Also, you can determine where you want the border. Right now we have the option of putting it inside, center, or outside. So putting it center. You can change from center to inside, from inside to outside. Let's work with the default state inside. And here more options. Clicking on this, you can see predefined borders. So if I select the top, that means I only want border at the top of the item. I click on it and select the bottom, that means I only want the border appearing at the bottom side. Same thing for the left and the right. Selecting this option all, it means that I want the border showing on all sides. Now another thing you should know, switching this option, this eye icon, by turning it on and turning it off, you'll be able to control the visibility of the border. Same thing with the color. By turning on this icon and turning off this icon, you'll be able to control the visibility of the color. So the next thing we want to look at is effect. So you click on this plus button and you will see the effect available. So here we have drop shadow, and we also have more effect. You see it's blurry now because of the layer blur. You can also do inner shadow, you can see, and you can select drop shadow, which happens to be the default one when this plus icon is selected. Now to take this shadow away, you click on this icon, this minus icon. But before we take it away, before I show you how to take it away, when you click on this icon here, effect setting, when you click on it, you can adjust the position of the shadow. Let's say we'll bring 8. You see the shadow has moved from the bottom, although there's still some shadow at the bottom, but we have it more obvious on the right side. And we have this option of spread. You can spread the shadow out the more, and we also have this option of blur. You can make it blur the more, and you can also change the color here and determine the color you want. So that's how to use this effect. So when you're done, you click on this icon to exit. And to take this shadow off, if you don't want to use the effect, you click on this minus icon. Click on this. The same thing for the stroke. Click on that. Same thing for fill. Click on fill. The shape is here, but it is not visible because we took away the color. So to apply color to this shape, we'll click on this plus and select color. So we have this list of color here. Now this list of color is as a result of the colors we have been using. So the more colors we use, the more colors we will have here. I'm going to close this box. Let's say we want to export this shape. We'll click on this plus icon and select export rectangle. But let's say we want to give this rectangle a name. What you need to do is make sure you've clicked on the rectangle, then you double click on the name and give it a new name. Let's say red rectangle. So now if you want to export this rectangle, we'll be seeing export red rectangle. So this is how to rename elements in Figma. It could be a shape, just any element you're using to compose your design. You'll be able to rename that element by double clicking on the name you're seeing and give it a new name. So now let's look into frame. Click on this option frame. I'm going to draw a frame, and we want to keep all sides equal. We'll hold down the shift. I'm going to delete this shape. The frame also looks like a shape, so we can give it a corner radius of 30. Can come over to the fill section and also maybe give it color blue. But what's the difference? Let's say I have another shape. Let's say I have an eclipse, and I want to place the eclipse inside this rectangle. There is no way it's going to go inside this rectangle. It can only be on top of the rectangle. But with the frame, you see, I can put the shape inside the frame. So the frame is like a container. You can put items inside the frame. Compared to a shape, you can't put an item inside a shape. But with a frame, you can put an item inside the frame. So that's the difference between a shape and a frame. And with the frame, you have more options. You can take it to an advanced level by applying Add Auto Layout. With the auto layout, you'll be able to do a lot of things. You'll be able to create responsive design. You'll be able to keep your design consistent. You'll be able to group items. There's a lot you can do with auto layout, but for a start, you will learn what a frame is, and you can change the frame to an auto layout. The other things I want us to look at: clicking the frame, you can create a component. You can use the mask tool. And now we know that, I want to introduce you to some practice when it comes to using Figma. Some of the things you'll be using shortcut most times, and to get the shortcut for doing most things, come over to this part. When selecting on an option, you can see the shortcut by the side. To paste over a selection, Ctrl Shift V, paste to replace, Ctrl Shift R. So this is how you can know shortcuts to do certain things. Now to duplicate, the shortcut is Ctrl D. So let's say I want to duplicate this shape inside the frame. I'll use Ctrl D and I'll drag out. Another way I can do this is to hold down the Alt key. On Windows and on Mac, it's going to be the Option key. So when you hold down the Alt key, you see this arrow like it's doubled. Now when I release the Alt key, you have a single arrow. When I hold down the Alt key, you'll be seeing the double arrow. So once you're seeing that, you know the Alt key is activated and you can drag out. So when you drag out, you have a duplicate of that item. With these tips, you'll be able to compose amazing design. So this is a quick introduction to Figma. I'll see you in another video.